Hey everyone, Kai here. Welcome to the first video of our brand new series where we're mastering the Professional Scrum Master I exam, one question at a time. Today, we're laying the groundwork with questions 1 through 20. If these breakdowns are valuable to you, you can now support the team directly via Super Thanks. It's never expected, but it helps us create more quality content. Now, let's get right to the key concepts. Question 1. In accordance with Scrum theory, how should a group of 100 people be divided into multiple development teams? A. Understanding the product vision, and the rules of the Scrum framework, the group divides itself into teams. B. It doesn't really matter because you can rotate the teams every sprint to spread knowledge. C. Check with the allocation department to see who has worked together before and make these the first teams. D. Create a matrix of skills, seniority, and level of experience to assign people to teams. Alright, let's analyze this scenario. The core task here is to determine the best approach for forming teams when scaling Scrum to a large group, 100 people. The question explicitly asks us to answer in accordance with Scrum theory. This is a crucial cue. It means we aren't looking for traditional project management techniques or HR allocation policies. We are looking for the fundamental principles that drive Scrum, specifically self-organization or self-management in the 2020 Guide, and empiricism. The challenge is to form functional teams without reverting to command and control structures. With that in mind, let's evaluate the options in order. Option A is the correct answer. This option perfectly embodies the Scrum principle of self-organization. Scrum relies on the intelligence and capabilities of the people doing the work. Instead of a manager dictating who works with whom, the developers themselves are best positioned to decide how to form into effective teams. However, they cannot do this in a vacuum. The option correctly notes that they need boundaries and context. They must understand the product vision, and the rules of the Scrum framework. Once provided with this goal and these constraints, the group is empowered to organize themselves in the most effective way to deliver value. This fosters ownership and commitment from day one. Option B is incorrect. This suggests that team composition doesn't really matter and encourages rotating members every sprint. This is a dangerous misconception. High-performing Scrum teams require stability. It takes time for a group of individuals to navigate the stages of group development: forming, storming, norming, performing. If you rotate members every sprint, the teams will remain in a perpetual state of forming or storming and never reach high performance or consistent velocity. While cross-training is good, structural instability is detrimental to Scrum. Option C is incorrect. Relying on an allocation department is a traditional top-down management approach. In Scrum, we move away from the idea that external managers know better than the workers how to organize the work. While it is true that people who have worked together before might make good teammates, the decision shouldn't come from an external department. This strips the team of autonomy and fails to leverage the collective intelligence of the 100 people involved. Option D is incorrect. Similar to option C, this represents a scientific management or Taylorist approach where people are treated as resources to be slotted into a spreadsheet based on metadata like seniority or skills matrix. While a Scrum team does need to be cross-functional and have the right mix of skills, a manager creating a matrix is not the Scrum way to achieve this. The team members themselves are far more capable of identifying the necessary skill gaps and forming teams that cover those gaps naturally through discussion and self-selection. Therefore, the correct solution is A. It respects the agency of the professionals involved and relies on the core Scrum mechanism of self-organization within clear boundaries to solve complex problems. Question 2. Who is responsible for managing the progress of work during a sprint? A. The Scrum Master. B. The development team. C. The product owner. D. The most junior member of the team. Alright, let's analyze this scenario. This question tests your fundamental understanding of the specific accountabilities within the Scrum team. It specifically asks about the progress of work during a sprint. This is a critical distinction because while the product owner tracks progress toward the overall product goal, the daily, tactical management of the sprint backlog is a different responsibility entirely. We are looking for the role that owns the how and the how much within the boundaries of a sprint. With that in mind, let's evaluate the options in order. Option A is incorrect. The Scrum Master is accountable for establishing Scrum as defined in the Scrum Guide and for the team's effectiveness. They act as a leader who serves, removing impediments and coaching the team. However, they do not manage the work or the people. If the Scrum Master were to manage the progress of work, they would become a traditional project manager, which contradicts the self-managing nature of a Scrum team. Their role is to facilitate, not to direct the daily tasks. Option B is the correct answer. In Scrum, the developers, often referred to as the development team in older versions of the guide, but the concept remains the same, are self-managing. This means they internally decide who does what, when, and how. They are the ones who commit to the sprint goal, and therefore, they are the only ones responsible for tracking their own progress against that goal. They do this primarily through the daily Scrum, where they inspect their progress toward the sprint goal and adapt the sprint backlog as necessary. No one outside the developers can tell them how to turn product backlog items into increments of value. Option C is incorrect. The product owner is accountable for maximizing the value of the product and managing the product backlog. While they care deeply about the result of the sprint and are available to clarify requirements, they do not manage the daily progress of the work within the sprint. Their focus is on the what product goal and the why, leaving the how and the daily tracking to the developers. Option D is incorrect. This option is a distractor and contradicts the non-hierarchical nature of a Scrum team. Scrum does not recognize titles or sub-teams within the developers, like junior or senior regarding authority. Responsibility is shared by the collective group of developers, not assigned to a single individual based on tenure or lack thereof. Every developer shares accountability for the sprint's success. Therefore, the correct solution is B. It reinforces the core Scrum concept that the people doing the work are the best ones to manage and track that work. Question 3. A Scrum Master is introducing Scrum to a new team. The team has decided that a sprint retrospective is unnecessary. What action should the Scrum Master take? A. Call a meeting between the Scrum team and senior management. B. Comply with the decision of the self-organizing team. C. Consult with the product owner to see how they feels about the situation. D. Begin facilitating productive and useful sprint retrospectives. Alright, let's analyze this scenario. This question touches on a classic friction point when introducing Scrum, resistance to the events, particularly the retrospective. The key conflict here is between the team's desire to self-manage and the mandatory nature of the Scrum framework. The Scrum Master is accountable for the Scrum team's effectiveness and for establishing Scrum as defined in the Scrum Guide. If a team decides to remove a core component of the framework, they are no longer doing Scrum. The challenge for the Scrum Master is how to correct this behavior not by force, but by leadership. With that in mind, let's evaluate the options in order. Option A is incorrect. Calling senior management to intervene is a command and control tactic that undermines the team's trust in the Scrum Master. It treats the team members like children who need to be disciplined rather than professionals who need to be coached. This approach damages the safety of the team environment and fails to address the root cause of why the team feels the retrospective is unnecessary. Option B is incorrect. This is a very common trap. While Scrum teams are indeed self-managing or self-organizing, that autonomy exists within the boundaries of the Scrum framework. The events in Scrum, including the sprint retrospective, are not optional add-ons. They are essential opportunities for inspection and adaptation. If a team skips the retrospective, they lose the ability to improve their process, which leads to stagnation. The Scrum Master cannot comply with a decision that breaks the fundamental rules of Scrum. Option C is incorrect. While the product owner is a member of the Scrum team and participates in the retrospective, they do not have the authority to decide whether the event happens or not. This is a process issue, and the Scrum Master is the one accountable for the process. Checking with the product owner shifts the responsibility to the wrong role and doesn't solve the problem of the team rejecting a core Scrum event. Option D is the correct answer. This is the servant leader approach. Usually, when a team wants to skip a retrospective, it's because they don't see the value in it. Perhaps past retrospectives were just complaint sessions with no action items, or boring meetings that wasted time. The Scrum Master's job is to show the value of the event by making it effective. By facilitating a focused, engaging, and action-oriented retrospective, the Scrum Master helps the team realize that this time is an investment in their own sanity and efficiency, not just a bureaucratic requirement. You demonstrate value rather than forcing compliance. Therefore, the correct solution is D. It addresses the root cause, lack of perceived value, and upholds the Scrum framework through active coaching and facilitation. Question 4. A product owner wants advice from the Scrum Master about estimating work in Scrum. What guidance should a Scrum Master give? Choose the best answer. A. Product backlog items must be estimated in story points. B. Estimates are made by the people doing the work. C. Estimates must be in relative units. D. Scrum forbids estimating. E. Estimates are made by the product owner, but are best checked with the developers. Alright, let's analyze this scenario. This question explores the boundaries of accountability within the Scrum team, specifically regarding sizing and forecasting. A common anti-pattern in organizations is managers or product owners dictating how long a task should take. The Scrum Master must protect the team's self-management. The core principle here is simple. Authority follows responsibility. Since the developers are responsible for creating the increment, they are the only ones who can accurately judge the effort, complexity, and risk involved. With that in mind, let's evaluate the options in order. Option A is incorrect. While story points are a very popular complementary practice used by many Scrum teams, they are not mentioned in the Scrum Guide. Scrum is a lightweight framework, not a methodology. It does not prescribe specific techniques. You can use hours, days, t-shirt sizes, or story points. Mandating story points creates unnecessary rigidity. Option B is the correct answer. This is a direct reflection of the Scrum Guide. The developers are the ones doing the hands-on work to turn the product backlog item into a done increment. Therefore, they are the only ones with the technical insight to understand the complexity involved. If anyone else provides the estimates, the developers will not feel committed to them, and the forecasts will likely be inaccurate. The product owner may influence the order of work, but the developers own the sizing of the work. Option C is incorrect. Similar to option A, this is a prescriptive statement about how to estimate. While relative estimation, comparing item A to item B, is often more accurate than absolute estimation, hours, Scrum does not mandate it. A team could legitimately choose to estimate in ideal hours if they find it effective, provided the developers are the ones doing the estimating. Option D is incorrect. Scrum does not forbid estimating. In fact, the Scrum Guide states that product backlog items that can be done by the Scrum team within one sprint are deemed ready for selection in a sprint planning event. To know if an item fits in a sprint, some form of sizing or estimation is necessary. While the no estimates movement exists in the Agile community, Scrum requires enough understanding of size to plan a sprint effectively. Option E is incorrect.